physical, I'm spiritual. I am an infinite being. I have no need of external power.
Let's stretch a little bit, you guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Let's get started.
There's no fear.
I just flow, 'cause I'm one with this love. That is why I'm so strong. Feel the joy from feel the flow. Who knows what this means? Okay, pump it up. Get that energy up. Yes, let's do this. Are you feeling strong? Are you in the zone? Do you have faith? How many times do you give thanks? Do you feel peace from the new grace? Hi guys, welcome to the Hour to Empower. I'm here to help you live your best version and your best life every day. Thank you so much for joining, everyone, and let's get started. I'm going to change the music a little bit. We're going to go into something more for a conversation, just to start a smooth, easy conversation together. Let's enjoy this moment. Have a good time. And what is it that's been in your mind today? What have you been thinking about the most? Has it been an easy day for you, or is it a heavy day? And if it feels heavy, what made it heavy? If it was easy, what made it so easy? What kind of day would you say you had today? And just acknowledge it. That's fine. There's no judgment in the day. That was the day you had. Where were you with your head? Where were your thoughts? Where was your focus? Can you realize something about why your day was the way it was? I leave you with those questions. Those are good questions to ask yourself sometimes, just to see, am I really here or am I here? So many times we spend so much time in our heads. Isn't that true? And then half of the stuff that goes through our heads doesn't even happen. So we spend all that time for nothing. That's the most beautiful part about being humans, that we spend so much time in our heads creating stories, building up adventures and sadness and fears and growth, and then nothing of that really happens. But you know why that is? Let me ask you this question. We try as humans, what we like to do is control everything. We feel good when we think we control every situation. We feel good when we think we know what's going to happen. So how crazy is this that we think that we can control what's going to happen? We're not God. We can't control what's going to happen. We can control one thing though. Do you know what that is? See, we try to, we have these goals and these ideas, these dreams that we want to reach. And, then we become very frustrated when they don't happen. Or things don't happen the way we want them to happen. We get frustrated and angry. But here's the thing. We think we're going to control the results of everything that we do. But the only one thing that we can control, is not the results. It's not the outcome. It's not what's going to happen. But we can control our own actions. It's the only thing we can control. The things that we do. That's why there's this beautiful saying, I think it's from Lao Tzu or from Buddha. If you can control it, if you can act upon it, why are you worried? And if you can't do anything about it, why are you worried? See, that's the beauty, really understanding that phrase is in the fact that the only thing that a human being can control is their own actions. Therefore, if you can act on it, do it. And if you can't, let it go. But we stay stuck here with these stories around what we can or cannot control. So today I was thinking, what is this theme that is interesting? And I have been seeing a lot around me lately. especially in these rooms that we're doing on Clubhouse where we talk about living with intention. And there's so many things that come out of those conversations. If you have a chance, join us. It's in Spanish, se llama Vivir con Intención, and we have like a question every day that we discuss. Today it was, do you reflect or do you ruminate? Do you reflect or do you ruminate? And that is about, ruminating is what the cow does, right? The cow will eat something, will eat grass. And then once it's in their tummy, it comes back to their mouth, and then they have to bite it, and that's the rumination. So this process of rumination is what we identify with the brain, with the mind. There's a thought that can go, or I can bring it back and then stay with that thought the whole day, and I ruminate around it, meaning I feel the negative emotions from this thought, I feel the pain from this thought, and we want to change the perspective. When there's a thought that is ruminating in us, let's transform that into a reflective process where we can just change our perspective, right? Can you see that? Is there a thought that you ruminate on too much? It actually hurts you when that thought comes up and you can't get rid of it. That is the thought. That's ruminating. And how does that make you feel? What does this do to you, right? Especially fears or painful feelings, melancholy from the past is also very often the reason why we ruminate. So let's say a very easy example was we had a boyfriend or a girlfriend that we loved so much, and that relationship no longer exists. I don't have that boyfriend or girlfriend anymore. And I will stay in that thought of how beautiful that relationship was and how much I loved this person. My question is, what is this thought doing to you? Why do you even need that thought? Because it's identifying that if those thoughts do not open a path for us, then we should question those thoughts. Then we should observe them and say, I need to transform this, because there's two ways of thinking. One is the thought that they say in Spanish, que abre camino, no? That opens a path for you. Or is this a thought that closes the path, which means I go inside, I feel frustrated, I feel stuck. Another easy way of looking at this, is this a thought that puts me in victimhood, or is this a thought that empowers me? Because every time I'm in the, closing the path, the victim, that difficult thought, I can't take action. And as I said at the very beginning, the only thing a human being can do to control, the only thing that we can control in our lives is our actions. It's the only thing. So if we are in a state where we can take action, you can already see my life flows better. It's so much easier, right? So if I think of this relationship and let's say it's over and I'm not going to call this person anymore, like I tried that already and it's over. What's the purpose of that thought? Why do I engage in that thought? And that's the thought that we want to transform. We want to transform it in something more useful, something that I can work with, something that I can live with, something that will bring me to the present, that will make me boom, snap out, be here, enjoy this conversation together. And it's just that moment where if you're able, and this is like, of course, a super skill. For me, that's like the superhero skill. If you're able to question your thoughts and observe them and say, is that a thought that I want to maintain, or is that not helping me at all? Because then you can start switching your perspective, questioning things. Not every thought is real. Not every thought is the truth. The fact that it's a thought in your mind doesn't make it true. So if we start from that premise, boom, we're open to transforming our mindset and making it a powerful mindset. I always say this to you guys because I genuinely believe it. Like, this is how I see the world. There's no other way for me to see the world. The world is always perfect. Even if it's painful, even if it's hard, even if things seem impossible, it's perfect. And the question to ask is, what is that part of me that needs to either learn, evolve, grow, become? in order for me to see the perfection in this. Because the world simply is. We make the judgment if the world is perfect or not. So if we can question these things and create the habit of questioning these things, you can see, right? It's easy. You're empowering yourself right there. Right there. The moment you know that your thoughts are not always true and that you can question every single thought in your mind. Try it. I encourage you to try it because you will see how there's a shift in your energy. If you don't know how to do this, and I get that because it's not easy, try silence. Silence is the first step towards that observer. You can't observe if you don't go into silence. And this one, the silence that sounds so easy, is so difficult for so many people. Why do you think it's difficult for people? Because we like to be busy. We like to be busy. And the busier we are, the less time we have for silence. And that when we have less time for silence, we have more time to believe our thoughts and just let them own us. So what happens with that? We go into states that are not serving us. We become angry, unhappy, sad, frustrated, because we don't give ourselves that space of silence to just question our thoughts, to just see the patterns that are old and let them go. Yes, that pattern served you in the past, but it doesn't need to come back every single time something is difficult. That was an old pattern. Do you have a pattern like that? What's your pattern? If anybody here wants to share, if you know what is your pattern that you know is an old pattern, and have you been able to just let that pattern go? Did you get rid of that pattern? Because I know my patterns. Like, I really can identify when things are, we always try to find the balance. This is what we're looking for in life. We want this balance, an inner balance, body balance. My father always puts the example, he's a doctor, so he says it from that perspective as a scientist. Your body is like a catamaran. And you know how a catamaran is always like on these two edges. And it needs to be stable, right? And when it's stable, it's smooth, it sails, their sail is so easy. It's beautiful to watch. But what happens if you're a little bit more to the left or more to the right? It's dangerous because the catamaran loses balance. So you need to always come back to the balance, come back to that balance. So whenever you feel that your catamaran is off balance, it's on an edge. And if you know what causes that, for example, physically on a catamaran, it would represent all the people are going to the right? So if everybody who's on the catamaran goes and stands on the right, then the catamaran is going to incline towards the right. So we want the people to spread out so that there's an even number of people in both sides, and then we can keep sailing. Now, this is a metaphor for you to think in your catamaran, which is you. What is that thing that puts you off balance? And how do you come back to your balance? Do you even come back to your balance? Or are you sailing on that edge? And I'm laughing, but it's no joke. That's hard when you're sailing on an edge. It's very hard. And it's tiring. And you're constantly working, right? You can see the sailors in that catamaran that's on an edge trying to make sure that we don't fall. That's what you're thinking about all the time. But when the catamaran is back in its balance, poops, it goes, and the sailors are not working a lot. They just, make sure that the sail is up and the wind is good. And they keep going. And this is what we're looking for. We're looking for that balance in our catamaran. So the first thing to get to that balance will then, of course, give you the flow of life, that energy. When you sail that way in life, you just follow, the wind is the one that's going to decide. And you're great with the wind. But when you're on the edge, the wind is not your friend. You see that, right? So do you identify what is that thing in your life that puts you on that edge, that doesn't allow you to actually feel the wind and balance? It's not easy, but the first question would be, what is your emotional home? How do you feel emotionally normally? What is the typical or the standard emotion that you experience the most? What is that emotion that you experience most often during the week in your life? If people want to share, go ahead and share, and we'll use that from there. What would you say is the emotion that you experience the most in your week? Maybe every day, maybe throughout the day many times. And if you allow me, the question to go a little deeper is, what is the positive and the negative emotion that is most often happening to you? You know, it can be, thank you, Beautiful Places on Earth. I love that name, Beautiful Places on Earth. And we want to go to all those beautiful places on Earth, by the way. She says, I'm usually happy. I love that. Yeah, you're usually happy. So that's a state that you identify with. Does that, because here's the thing, the balance that we're looking for doesn't always mean that you have to get rid of a negative emotion. Sometimes when an emotion is very positive, it might also put us on edge. Can you see that? When we get very excited with something, boom, our balance is gone again. So it's important that we just, I don't mean that we don't go off balance once in a while, but that we do notice that so that we can go, whoop, wait a minute, I need to come back to my balance. And I can always come back to it. And she says, but the negative feeling is failure. Okay, so when you think of failure, because failure wouldn't be so much a feeling, but a thought. You think you fail, and then that makes you feel what? What kind of energy do you feel? Like, is this sad, angry, frustrated? What's the emotion behind this idea of failure? This helps a lot. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much. So, frustration. Okay, so frustration, when you feel failure, you feel frustration. Frustration is a feeling that you cannot move, right? Sadness, exactly. That's it. So when you're there, you see the edge there, is that you're not making decisions. There's no action in the feeling of frustration and sadness. There's a feeling of, I can't decide something, right? Probably. I mean, of course, we would have to go deeper into the story, but more or less, that'll be it. So when I feel that I fail or I'm a failure, I feel frustrated, I feel sad. So what takes me off balance? The fact that I feel this way, when I'm in my stable balance, in my catamaran, and we are the catamaran, I keep sailing all the time. I'm sailing. Now, when I'm in the edge, sometimes I cannot keep sailing. And that's what happens here, is that action is going to be immobilized. You're not going to move. You see that? And then when we stop ourselves, that's when we enter into those states that can be very negative for us, and also make us feel like we're not doing anything, or we're not achieving enough, and then we get into the ego, right? That's the thing, you know, when I get into the story, the pity party, the angry one, or whatever it is, I stay engaged in that, and this is all time that I'm wasting in being in balance. And I say wasting with respect. I respect your feelings. There's nothing wrong with those feelings. It's just know when they come and say, no, I need to come back to my balance. This feeling is just a story. Question the story. Do you have to believe the story when you say you're a failure? Can you look at the story in another way? And how can you tell yourself the story in a way that will bring you back to balance? Because when you're off balance, that's not where you want to be. That's danger zone, because you may fall. So we want to stay back into balance. This is what we do every day with our thoughts, with our exercise, with the food, you know, we want to come back to our balance. Seriously, welcome and thank you for sharing. She says, happy but lonely. I'd love to ask you so much about that. Happy but lonely. Okay, what is lonely? What's behind the feeling of the idea of lonely, right? Again, this is the same thing. Beautiful Places on Earth says, I'm a failure. And then the emotion is frustration and sadness. Seriously says, I'm lonely. So what's the feeling? When I say I'm lonely, I feel, what do you feel? And just question all the ways you tell yourself this story. Because we're very used to just sticking to one sentence and repeating that same sentence the same way all the time. So this is an invitation to start working, becoming aware, creating the muscle. Change the story. Tell it in another way. Why do I have to always tell myself the story the same way? What if I decided to look at other things in my life instead of just sticking to the idea that I'm lonely? I can stick to many more things. See, life is huge. Huge. Like in this room, I can look at what's happening in the screen, which means I can look at what's happening behind, and I can see a plan. But I can also look at what's in front of me. I can see the light. What do I want to put my focus on? I choose where my focus goes. I choose. So if I choose a story that's going to be heavy, what happens to my catamaran? Vroom. I want to be balanced. So let me choose a story that's going to bring me back to balance. Where focus goes, energy flows. So the first thing, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but this is a good exercise to start. Where is your focus? Rewire that focus right now. Don't stay stuck in the idea. I'm a failure. Okay, focus on something else. I worked hard. I was very lucky to have the people I worked with. Think sometimes it helps to just think of, if I were to die in the next hour, what is the last thought that I want to have? Because that brings you back to life. It's like, when you're sort of like going inside and dying and feeling, and then suddenly this is like, boom, energy up. And that comes from the switch in the story where you say, what if I was about to die in the next hour? Oh my God, no, I wouldn't want to be thinking this. I want to think of something great. I want to think of beautiful things like gratitude, love, connection, compassion, acceptance. There's so much to think about, and you want to focus on that. So let me give you that challenge here to just observe yourself, to be gentle with your thoughts, but at the same time, bring back the balance to your catamaran. Don't stay in that edge that hurts so much, right? People that work with me, but my clients, when we have coaching sessions, they say, I want to be free, or I want inner peace. And then we start talking, right? And it's like, freedom, inner peace, it's there. You don't need me. But you do need me, because for some reason we decided, because every single human being does that, to stick to certain patterns from the past and bring them in every single aspect of our lives. We stuck there. And we're stuck with our experiences. We stuck with our realities, with what we consider reality. And it's hard for us to disconnect from that. But it's when we start creating the habit of saying, there's other ways of doing this. And look at people who are very different to you. If you don't want to do any coaching sessions or work with somebody to help you get that, if you want to do it by yourself, then I would say the first thing to do is talk to people who are very different to you, but like really different people who think differently, who have different political views, who have totally different education, who come maybe from another country, other cultures, and just try to see how close or far you are from them. How much information do you get from that? Because that's where the key lies, in being able to switch your perspective. And the quicker you're able to do that, the more you can come back to your balance. If you are so stuck with your reality that you cannot open up to any other reality, then pain is there. But if you can just observe it and say, okay, this is my reality, this is how I've experienced it, but I don't need to take this with me now to my next episode of my life. So I'm going to remove this, and I'm going to say thank you and accept it, but I'm going to move on with a different perspective. And what's fun about this? what I love about this, the more you do it, the more you do it. It's addictive. Who has experienced that here? If you guys have experienced it, just say, yes, I have. You know, when you switch that perspective, it's like, yeah, I did it. And sometimes you get comfortable in your life as well. It doesn't always have to come from pain. You know, you like what you do, you like your life, and then you sit there and you know, if you don't allow yourself to once in a while question all those perspectives, you miss out on things. You miss out on that next growth for you. And for me, the most important thing that you miss out on is on the giving perspective, on the contribution side of it. You can give so much. But if you don't open up to becoming and switching those perspectives as often as it's necessary, then you just give in this little realm that is your reality. But what if you opened it up every single time? How many people have the opportunity to connect with you, to feel you, to grow with you? See, because you are so valuable, so beautiful, and so great. And we tend to just close that idea. It's like we cannot even tell ourselves that we are that great and beautiful. And every time we stay stuck there, we're not giving the world the opportunity to enjoy us. You know, it's so huge when we understand how we're connected to this universe and how everything really can expand if we are there, if we give ourselves to the situation, to the moment, to the people. It's so much fun. You know, life is fun when you're there, because this is, why do I do this? Why am I sitting here talking to you guys every time I can? Why did I work on this show, The Hour to Empower, on the radio? Why do I do what I do? Because I want you guys to have fun in life, because life is fun. Life is not heavy. Life is not a place to be like, oh, I hope this doesn't last too long. You know, that's not it. And here's another idea. Change your perspectives would be number one. So meet people from different countries. I'm sure Beautiful Places on Earth, who has that beautiful name, has been in different countries, and you've experienced all these new people, new perspectives, new ways of living, right? The other one that I want to encourage you so much to do is humor. Because if you don't have any sense of humor about yourself, how can you have fun in life? Laugh at yourself, laugh at your thoughts, you know, like there is that thought again. How unuseful. Like, and make that irony or whatever your place for humor is, and bring it to yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror, have fun with yourself, and just have fun with life. Look at people and see the best in people, and not all the time the fear, you know, that relationship when I come up and I say hi and I'm questioning, who's this person? Let's see what they think about me. What if I come up and I say, isn't this a beautiful human being? Isn't this a great moment that he and I don't know each other at all? Let's see what happens here. Can I just play with the moment? Have fun with it? Nothing has to be so heavy. We don't need to make life so heavy. But we tend to make it heavy because our fears dominate us, because our thoughts dominate us. And as Beautiful Place on Earth just was saying, when you change your thoughts, everything changes. That's how it is. But because I change, and when I change, everything changes. So, you know, it's not easy. I agree, it's a whole process. You don't have to do it all in one day. But give yourself the opportunity just to look at things a little differently. Have that curiosity about, what if I think of this in another way? And the second one is have some fun. Have some fun. You know, yes, there's a pandemic, and then we get the drama and the heaviness and the horrible things, but we can laugh about things too. There's nothing wrong about laughing. It's actually so healthy to laugh. There's so much longevity and health in laughing. We want to release those healthy hormones. We want to create that message to the brain that everything is okay. You know, it doesn't always have to be in fear mode, in fight or flight mode, in stress mode. We can also be in love mode, in joy mode, in fun mode, in growth mode, in contribution mode. And let's smile and just let it be and, enjoy the moment. Sometimes you simply need to tell yourself that because we can get so caught up in our stories. You guys, time's up, but I do want to end with our song and tell you that I love you. I appreciate your time for being here with me. I hope this helps. And if it helps you, I hope you help somebody too with it. Let's create a little chain where we give. Because when we give, giving is also this would be the number 3. Just give. Actually, forget all the other 2. Forget the perspective, forget the laugh, and give. Because when you give, it's an energy that just gives you all of the other things. You're focused on something else. The focus is on the right place, and then the energy is so good, and it just gives back so much that's where we want to be. So with this said, thank you. Thank you for your time and for participating. I appreciate you. And feel the joy, feel the flow. Take it easy, one day at a time, and work on those thoughts. Don't let them overwhelm you. I love you. Take care, you guys. And let's end with some good energy as always. I am an infinite being.
I have no need of external power.
'Cause I'm an infinite being. I am one
with this flow. There's
no fear.
I just flow. 'Cause I'm one with this love. That is why.
Hey Max, we're leaving. Good to see you. See you later, by the way. Feel the joy. Feel the flow. Bye bye, guys. Have a great day. Keep it going. You guys are doing great.
I am one with this flow.
Thank you, guys.
I feel strong. I'm in the zone.